Thank you, my friend. 2 questions here. How could a patient with kidney failures get out from the dialysis when he is doing 3 times a week since 5 years? Well, first of all, in dialysis, you want to get yourself peeing again, because you can't get off of dialysis unless you start self-urinating. And a lot of times dialysis in itself will stop you from urinating. Watch your creatinine levels, see where they are. But your whole goal is to go into those kidneys while on dialysis and start making them healthy. Yes, your potassium and phosphorus are going to go up and down, big deal. Let them do the phosphorus binders, blah, 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 blah. But keep going. Did a superfood blend, ours or somebody's, and after every dialysis treatment, hit your blood with a superfood blend. And then, because they strip your blood virtually, so hit your body with the superfood blend, and then fruits, berries, and melons. Take the kidney formulas, get the adrenals up, start getting yourself. If you're not peeing, you got to work yourself to urination first. You got to be able to start peeing on your own first. And as you start peeing, you'll start then looking to filter. Because what happens is you start filtering, the kidneys stop filtering, then after a while, the creatinine starts going up after that, blood pressure goes up, pee starts getting smaller and smaller, and after a while now your creatinine soaring, you're on dialysis because you can't hardly pee, or you stop completely, or they stop you. So you got to get yourself peeing on dialysis, go after the health of the kidneys, even if you use a kidney glandular, kidney herbs, go after the body, do the raw foods. I don't care what they say about potassium in foods, and so you can't avoid it. And it's a kidney problem, is why the potassium problem, sodium and potassium, kidney and adrenal glands. When you go into a dialysis and you're still peeing, and then after a few dialysis treatments you stop peeing, that dialysis treatment was hurting you bad, because that's not good. So it's important that, first of all, that you move into a raw food diet. I don't care what you're on. The problems we face when we stop urinating is auto-intoxication, because now we're not even filtering the kidneys, so your creatinine keeps going up, of course, and then you start losing the kidneys themselves, and then of course you're not filtering the system. Of course, that all is going to back up in the blood, and so they only clean the blood, of course, because you can't clean interstitial fluid. I mean, that'd be the finding of the century. So that's, and of course, since the kidneys are shut down, you can't clean the lymph system. So blood is the only source that you have, while your lymph system keeps getting worse and worse and worse. Even through dialysis, just because you're cleaning the blood, your lymph system is dead and there's no help. So it just keeps getting worse that way. So total raw. I would use kidney glandulars for me in a situation where my kidneys are failing, and I would definitely get on at least 2 kidney formulas. I'd probably do 1 lymphatic formula to start. Now, if you're still peeing, and my own feeling, this would be what I do. If I'm learning things and I'm still peeing, I'd probably work my way out of dialysis and keep working on increasing urination. That means start moving into all raw, and specifically fruits and berries. Melons might be a little too much water right now for someone on dialysis. I would probably stay with my fruits and my berries, subacid fruits to sweet fruits, and my berries. And initially I'd probably add the salads, at least 1 a day, or a green drink. Too many liquids, again, with dialysis just means more dialysis time. And we want to do the opposite. At the same time, we got to rebuild those kidneys. No matter what they say, they tell you eat more protein. These guys are wackos from Wackoville. You know, that's the reason we lose the kidneys, are protein foods. So you come off of all proteins. That's essential. The next question, when someone is on dialysis, what should I feed to them by the way of fruits, and what herbs would you suggest? P.S. Love you. Love you too from Michigan. Michiganer. Well, you know, dialysis is a pain in the ass. There's no question about that. Pardon my French. But the very procedure of dialysis is toxic. The very procedure of dialysis slams the kidneys and adrenals in and of itself. Constantly messes with your potassium and phosphorus. Not just kidney weakness does that. The dialysis procedure does that. Seen a lot of people that had perfect potassium and phosphorus levels until they went on dialysis. I've seen people that were self-urinating before they went on dialysis, and when they started dialysis, their body stopped peeing. I didn't really like that. I knew a dialysis nurse that became very sick working in dialysis, and her MD told her to get out. I have plenty of dialysis clients, and I put them on all raw, mostly fruit. If they're not self-urinating, and they could hold a little water, they could actually have an extra dialysis time, but they generally have it 3 days a week. Monday, Wednesday, Friday should be adequate. I don't care about potassium levels. Let the medical doctors mess with the potassium and phosphorus levels. It's a game they play. Your game is to make tissue healthy. Same diet, same everything. It doesn't matter what procedure you're on, you got to head down that road. Kidney number 1 capsules, I'd use kidney number 2 or kidney number 1 liquid with it. Definitely the lymphatics. Maybe go a little slow on the lymphatics at first, like lymphatic 1. You want to clean up the bowels, obviously. Very important connection to all the tissues is the gut. Remember the embryonic tail, the tree, and all the branches, all the organs and glands come out of the tail of the embryo, which is the gut and spinal column. So just remember how that plays out, and that all tissue basically is wrapped with gut tissue. And so that symbiotic relationship, always clean up the GI tract, always work on the kidneys and adrenals and the lymphatic system, and there ain't much that the body can't do after that. I don't care what problem or condition you're in, going down the road of health in that way, get rid of everything here. If your creatinine levels are 3 or below and you're self-urinating, I'd be very cautious about doing dialysis myself. And remember, you're not doing anything for the lymph system, you're just cleaning the blood, so your lymph system continues to get worse. This is why you always see in kidney failure the gangrenes and the neuropathies and everything. It isn't a part of a friggin' disease that's made up by medical doctors. This is an actuality of what happens when kidneys don't filter the lymph and what acids do to tissue. I go to that's the greatest thing this guy could have said. Now this person goes to dialysis only two times a week for 2 hours, huh? I still produce lots of urine. Yeah! All right. Now, that's what you want. Now you can wean yourself off of dialysis, because you have to be careful. Dialysis has been responsible for stopping people of self-urination, and the fact that you're producing a lot of urine is incredible. What are you not doing, though, that's causing you the need for dialysis? You're not filtering. And that's what you got to get going. You got to get your kidneys filtering lymphatically. That'll pull the acids out of the body, all the inflammation out of the body, and the kidney itself. So then the creatinine goes down, everybody's happy, you're getting sediment in your urine. Now, you rebuild this kidney. Thank God you got away from proteins and dairy, because that's chewing down on your kidneys. Now you want to pull back and get into your vegetables and your fruits and your berries and your melons, especially your fruits and your berries and your melons, and you just cool everything down, you start hydrating, and you start astringently moving lymph. As you start to clean the kidneys and bringing the adrenal glands up, getting more neurotransmitters of dopamine and acetylcholines, now you got better elimination, you're getting hydration interstitially, systemically. See what I'm saying? And now you're getting hydrated around all the cells, head to toe. That's just what that meant. So what all of this being said, my main question is, what should I be eating? Fruits, berries, and melons at the top of the list, vegetables at the low end of the list, green drinks preferably. That'll start cooling down the kidneys and start astringing the kidneys, particularly the fruits and the berries. They'll start astringing the kidneys and start pulling those acids out of the interstitial cavities of the kidneys, which will then stop the blowback of the creatinine. That'll start going down. You'll start get the adrenals up with that, and then you'll start invoking systemic reactions. The prostate will start pulling clean. If you're a female, your female organs start pulling clean. Everything starts pulling clean closer to the kidneys. It's just how you work this out. I was told to stop eating animal protein. I can't tell you how much. No protein whatsoever, or you'll end up losing the ability to pee here. Protein is a bad thing, not a good thing. We've been taught it's a good thing. Sometimes when they teach us things, it's the reverse is true. I can stop eating animal protein, no problem. But will other problems like beans, legumes? No, off of all of them, my friend. All protein. Give your kidneys a sweet little break. They're dying for some fruit juice. I want to change my eating, and eventually I want to be 100% no meat, no dairy, and I'm working up to that now. Well, you're on dialysis. Don't lose your kidneys or you will regret every minute you didn't change your diet faster. Please take your time. Go now. You got plenty of support. You got your Facebook sites here. You got plenty of support. Go now. Jump into this and you'll be done with this. Your kidneys will be saved. You'll be happy and singing a song every day. I will run across the same problem. Also, what about meat substitute options? Forget protein. Drop that in the waste can. Forget that. Go to your carbohydrates. The main need of the body is carbon anyway. Not a protein. It's carbon. Not nitrogen, carbon. I love that. Bananas and potassium. But, you know, if you're on dialysis, that could be a problem. You have to eliminate all foods with potassium, right? Well, that's just virtually everything but protein. Basically, and that's just what you want when you're on dialysis, is a high protein meal, isn't it? I mean, this kind of insanity thinking. So it's sad that we can save 98% of the people from going to dialysis if they just get onto this and regenerate their kidneys. Hey man, let me see, I am working in kidney dialysis for 7 years. Do you think it's possible for these patients to regenerate their kidneys to function normally again? It just puzzles me on how more people are coming into this profitable business. If so, where do you start with these people? You know, this is a good guy. And you know, I was telling you about that dialysis nurse that got real sick from working in dialysis, so I hope you keep your health there. Absolutely. You know, it's a trip when you're on dialysis, and I'll give you an example. There was a famous chef, and he was urinating quite well until, of course, his kidneys were breaking down little at a time, and his creatinine got above 3, I think it got 3 to 4. They put him on dialysis, and then he quit peeing a few months after that, totally. Well, let me tell you, you know, when you're looking at that, you have to wonder what part of dialysis could be effective to that. Acid stripping the blood? I don't know. You guys you would know more about dialysis procedures than moi. It's enough to say that you can always regenerate tissue, my friend, always. And you would start with kidney formulas, adrenal formulas, because adrenal turns on kidneys. But you would want to get a couple of it. I use 2 kidney formulas nowadays because people, just like you said, you're seeing more and more people enter dialysis. And this guy's going to see a lot of young people start coming to dialysis more and more and more. The 30-year-olds, the 20-year-olds, the teenagers. And it's like, oh my God, yes, you can regenerate kidneys, but you can't on protein, because that's what degenerates them. One of my dialysis patients is having problems with phosphorus. Now, this is what you're always going to see. And they use phosphorus binders and things like this. You're always going to see 2 problems in dialysis, universal. You're going to see potassium and phosphorus. Well, potassium is a given because you have the adrenal involvement, and that's sodium-potassium balance, the kidneys involved. So you're always going to see potassium problems, and you can't stay away from potassium foods to correct this. That's not the gig. Unfortunately, when you start dialysis, you tend to lose your self-urination real quick. Quicker than if you hadn't been doing that. I had one guy lost his urination 2nd week in dialysis, which is disgusting, which is concernful about the procedure of dialysis and that effect upon the kidneys itself. Because once you lose complete urination, you're in trouble. You've got to get urination back before you can ever get off of dialysis, because you can't filter. And even the kidneys. This is a case where the kidneys themselves start breaking down. That's when you see your creatinines going way up. That means your kidneys are breaking down. You can still lose filtration. It starts with the loss of filtration. And that can happen for years and keep your creatinine below, say, 0.6, 0.7. But as you see 0.7, 0.8, 0.9, you're losing. Your kidneys are going. And now's the time to grab that before you get way up in, 3, 4, 5, or 14, or in the 20s or 30s. So you want to get that. So with the phosphorus, again, why would you eat protein when you're having phosphorus problems? So again, you would never have protein when your kidneys are breaking down. That's what breaks them down in the first place. So you would not want high phosphorus foods. That's a given. The other problem is these juicy fruits are full of water, and you're not filtering or self-urinating. You can bloat up a little bit with water. So it's definitely challenging when you're a dialysis patient, particularly one that has lost their self-urination. If you're still urinating on dialysis, my recommendation, if it was me, I'd pull myself away, because you're going to get yourself in trouble. Once you stop urinating, it's a whole nother beast of a whole nother color. My dialysis parents, oh my God, Scott, you got both of them? Oh, you poor soul. Holy crap. Here's an individual with 2 parents on dialysis. Huh. Genetically, doesn't look good for Scott. So Scott, I'm glad you're with us. You jump on those kidneys. You jump on those adrenals. You start making healthy. You clean out the bowels. You get into your lymph system. You start going after yourself there. And tell your parents to do it too, even though they're on dialysis. They take an average a dozen prescribed pharmaceutical meds daily. Holy crap. So his parents are not only on dialysis, they take a dozen prescribed pharmaceuticals. Well, remember when you're on dialysis, what's going down? Yeah, your kidneys. Well, guess what? Your adrenals are already down, so everything that they do can be down too, meaning your autonomic nervous system and everything that deals with, and then all your steroids and everything that deals with, and then look at the lymph system itself, the sewer system. That's why this is on point, factual, and right where people need to go. People are going to the blood too much. This system is where it's at, and this young man's poor parents are stuck there. And so I've said this before, if you're urinating, then you might want to rethink and really tear out of this. If you're not self-urinating, you're stuck on dialysis until you can get yourself urinating again. If you can, because dialysis has been known to stop people from urinating. I feel so tired of dialysis and my blood pressure is very high. Because you haven't fixed the kidneys, man. That's the bottom line. You haven't fixed your kidneys. And high blood pressure is a direct result of kidneys. And if they haven't figured this out yet, I mean, Jesus, these are non-thinkers or what? Right? Only when chemical drops and pills get normalized. Doctor, please help. Okay, so here's the thing. I would probably add our cayenne garlic formula because it has butcher's broom and some other herbs in there. And it'll kind of help dilate the vascular system. At the same time, you're breaking down because of the lymph system, not of the blood. But getting a little more blood flow in those kidneys would be beneficial. If you're self-urinating, you still can pee, thank you, God, then you really want to kick up the elimination. If you're not urinating yet, you just have to keep hitting that and hitting that and hitting that. And the balance here, guys, is with someone that is not urinating anymore, and you can't give them juices because too many fluids. They're only on 3-day dialysis. You'll bloat them up. You can't do that because your kidneys are failing to filter. Even water sometimes. So what you've got to do is go to the eating of the fruit. And then keep the real juiciest ones down. That's why the subacid to sweet is much better. And work on the kidney formula. That's why the herbs are so great, because now we can work on the kidneys with herbs. Once we can get, the problem is, so many people that have been on dialysis tell me that they were urinating until they went into dialysis and then it stopped them. That tells me that that's dangerous on the kidneys, because any procedure that helps you should increase the function of related tissue. So that's what medical has to figure out. They have to figure out how we do that so they can do that. Because we have to incorporate some of their issues, because when you don't take care of your kidneys, you lose your kidneys. You have to go on dialysis or you're going to die from toxemia. But with that said, this is when you integrate the alternative stuff, which is allopathic. That's alternative. That's radical. Pharmaceuticals are radical. Anybody thinks pharmaceuticals is the norm has definitely been smoking something in the back, and probably not natural weed, probably a pharmaceutical. I mean, that's the problem. You medical doctors are alternative, not us. We've been around since the dawn of time, if you hadn't noticed. So we have to get things straight so people know what's alternative and what's not.